Hey everyone, how's it going? Thank you, Elijah. It really has been a wonderful experience being able to be by your side for the last 4 years. Watching you grow into the unusual man that you are today has been an absolute highlight of my time here. I'm truly honored to call you a friend, and I really do love you, brother. I also want to thank Miss Hardy, even though she spelled my name wrong twice, Mr. Smith, and my mom for putting so much time, energy, and care into making this talk happen. And thank you to Mr. Coughlin and the Music Community Service for their beautiful performance of Rocky Mountain High. Go Colorado. The most important day of my life to this point is not the day that I arrived at Millbrook or the first time that I kissed a girl. Rather, it was the day that my sister allowed me to become a missing person. Let me set the stage. Fred, 7 years old, very blonde, short, and certainly chunky. For all of those who know, Fat Fred really was a different animal. Now keep that image in your mind for the rest of this chapel talk, and then please forget about it forever. Anyways, as I said, I was 7 years old, and it was a regular day in second grade. I had made my way through all of my vocab work for the day, and was thoroughly excited to get home to have my snack. So when my sister came to sign me out of class, I had my bag packed and I was ready to get in the car. As some of you may know, my sister Avery is not the most responsible caretaker there is, especially as a fifth grader. So she immediately left to go to a friend's house after signing me out of class, leaving me completely on my own. Whatever, I didn't really care. I was just excited to get home, get my snack, watch some TV. So I ran down to the usual spot on the corner to wait for one of my parents to come and drive me home from school. 5, 10, 15 minutes went by with no sign of them. So I made the practical decision to call my mother. But regardless of how practical this decision was, when I finally made it to the school office and asked to use the landline, I realized I had absolutely no idea how to use the landline. And being the embarrassed little boy I was, I pretended I was waiting for Mom to pick up, not once, but twice, to ensure that the receptionist did not even consider offering me help. After all, in my mind, I was all grown up, and I couldn't possibly need help using the phone. Then, as any second grader who needed to make a tough decision would, I decided I needed some time on the swing sets to sort out what to do next. As I swung, casually, as to avoid having to talk to anyone about what I was still doing at school, I came to the conclusion that maybe my parents could have parked in a different spot, so I began circling the campus, hoping I'd run into one of them, waiting to take me. After about 20 minutes and multiple trips around campus, I realized that that day would be the day that I became a man. So, I made the grown man decision that I was going to need to get myself home. I began my walk home with low spirits and an empty stomach, which it was about 4 p.m., so I'd already missed my after-school snack, which was a pretty big deal for me at the time. As I continued down the street, though, I found myself relying on the hundreds of trips that I had taken to and from school as my map. Landmarks rather than street signs were my path home. The small park with metallic sculptures and dirty needles. The Arby's on the corner. Of course, the local strip club, Shotgun Willie's, which you can look it up. And finally, the big gold building that always blinded you as you drove past it. From there, I knew it would be a straight shot until I took my final right turn into my home. Although it seemed easy enough, my walk home would not be the nice stroll I imagined it would be. I first realized the significance of a little boy walking down a main street in Denver as I walked past the bus stop. I felt the eyes of concerned and hopefully only concerned citizens all over me. Even as a little boy, I realized at that moment how I must have looked. A child with a Spider-Man backpack was walking down one of the busiest streets in Denver, and although many offered a kind smile, seemingly trying to find the words to ask if I was okay, nobody was able to build up the confidence to approach a little boy outside of a strip club. So I trudged on. And soon I was just about halfway through my walk home. I felt accomplished, mature, and most certainly more comfortable having taken a turn into a more residential area. However, my quick walk home was becoming more of a hike as I realized the sun was beginning to set behind me. So naturally, as any round child would, I pushed my pace even harder to get home before dinner. Before long, I had taken my turn into my neighborhood and walked up to my house to ring the doorbell. I could practically smell the meal on the table as I rang the bell once, twice, 3 times, but without answer. Worry not, I decided to pay my best friend and neighbor a visit. This time the doorbell rang and was answered. Standing before me was a mother who looked like she had seen a ghost. I was confused. I walked over to that house nearly every single day, and I couldn't understand what was so different about this time. She hugged me, sent me to the couch to have some cookies, which at least I was fed. And soon enough, the entire family was surrounded around me with a similar look of concern. I heard her on the phone with my parents in the background and began feeling the blood rush to my face. Tears began pouring out of me, but I couldn't understand why. Just moments ago, I felt like a man. I felt accomplished for having taken matters into my own hands and having followed through with it. It wasn't until I made my way home to my parents that I realized the full gravity of the situation. I walked through the door to see my mom crying, then apologizing, and then crying more. Naturally, I began crying alongside her, but I still found myself confused. Not until everything calmed down did I realize that my parents, as well as the Denver police, had thought I had been kidnapped. Evidently, I was a fast little man, as supposedly half of Denver had been out searching for me, and nobody ever saw me. In any case, I somewhat proudly told them the story of my adventure home, and then somewhat angrily asked them how they had forgotten to pick me up, as if it really mattered for anything other than blackmail against them for extra snacks and TV time. Of course, I now realize how truly difficult it must have been for my parents to take care of 3 young kids with 3 different schedules, all while working full-time jobs. But at the time, I couldn't help but take advantage of it. And in any case, at the end of the day, it truly was my sister's fault, and I'll believe that till the day I die. But the point of the story is not to outline why none of you should use my sister as a babysitter. So, why is this story so important to me? Why share it with you all? My walk home has become one of the most individually important moments in my life to this point. And although I know my parents and loved ones look back on that day as one to forget, I would have never wanted that day to go any differently. It's an integral part of who I am, and although I wouldn't recommend that any child scare their parents the way that I did, I think the values instilled in me are ones that can benefit anyone, but especially all of you Millbrook students. So what exactly did I learn from this experience? First and foremost, I learned that everybody makes mistakes, including family. Although I really did take it to heart at first, I realize now that despite the fact that my whole entire family left me, a 7-year-old, open to the harsh realities of the world, it was just a mistake, and I have to forgive them. I also learned that it's important to embrace the unknown. Trust that if you put your best foot forward each step of the way, you will make it out the other side. In my case, making it out the other side meant finally getting my afternoon snack. But I still think the value expands past after-school cookies. Whether it be eating a new, scary type of food or applying for a leadership position at Millbrook, just try, because that may just become your favorite food, and that leadership position may show you a little bit more about who you are. At Millbrook, we really have all been given the opportunity to challenge ourselves in unique ways that in some cases are not available anywhere else in the world. My walk home showed me why it's important not to shy away from new scary things, why I shouldn't allow myself to say no to new opportunities because I was scared of failing or taking on the responsibility of trying. So I guess to all of you, I would say push yourself to do the scary things in life, because at the end of the day, kidnapped or not, you'll be a stronger, more experienced person. Also know that the same way my family, community, and Denver police banded together to spread the word about a lost little boy, the Millbrook community is really there to have your back. It's a place where if you decide to find your own way home, so many people will be there to make sure you find it. So don't be afraid to take a risk here, because whether it's your friends, advisor, dorm parent, or a random faculty member on campus, I promise they will be there to help you on your way. To close, I'll leave you all with a few cliches that I've taken with me since my walk. You never know what's coming your way, so just take it one step at a time, because each step you take is one step closer to your destination. Tell the people that you love them, especially your mom, because she probably thinks you're kidnapped every single Saturday night. And most importantly, do not be afraid to ask the receptionist how to use the phone. Thank you.